The idea that we control the dragons is an illusion.
Everyone remembers the moment this war became unstoppable. A storm over Shipbreaker Bay, a boy on a young dragon, fleeing for home while behind him, gaining ground, the largest living creature in the world. Most people watched that scene and saw a murder, and for years now, the argument has raged over exactly one question. Did Aemond mean to do it? Some say he was a killer from the second he threw his leg over the saddle, that the smirk at Storm's End tells you everything. Some say he was a frightened boy playing a bully's game that went too far, beyond his control. Entire essays have been written, attacking and defending a one-eyed prince for the first death of the Dance of Dragons. But what if every one of them is wrong? Not about what happened, but who's responsible? What if they are all arguing about the wrong killer? Consider this. In those fatal final moments, both riders are screaming commands at their dragon, and neither dragon is listening. And this is about much more than that single encounter over Shipbreaker Bay. The series told you who actually controls this story in its very first episode. And once you hear all the evidence, you will never watch House of the Dragon the same way again. Let me take you through it from the start. Go back to Season 1, Episode 1. King Viserys leads his daughter into the dark beneath the Red Keep, and there, under the skull of Balerion the Black Dread, the king admits a hard truth. Targaryens are only powerful because of the dragons. Without them, their house would be just like any other. It's an easy line to overlook, but it's actually a crucial confession. Consider what Viserys is actually saying. He isn't warning Rhaenyra that dragons are dangerous. Everyone in Westeros knows dragons are dangerous. He's telling her that none of their family's power comes from within, from any inherent human trait. It comes from a power that man should never have trifled with, the same power that brought Valyria its doom. The Valyrians never controlled dragons through courage or dynasties alone. They were said to have mastered dragons through blood, sorcery, and rituals now largely lost to history. Only fragments of knowledge survived the doom. Targaryen blood, dragon keepers, carefully taught commands and rituals that could strengthen a bond, but never guarantee obedience. Dracarys, Vhagar, Likiri. These are words that work right up until the moment they don't. This is very important. Every command in this show is not an order. It's a request, made in a language the dragons choose to honor. The Targaryens don't command their dragons, but they negotiate with them, and a negotiation can always be refused. And once you start looking for examples, there are plenty of them. The dragon that hesitated. The show plants its first piece of evidence in Season 1, Episode 6. Laena Velaryon, dying in the birthing bed's shadow at Pentos, walks out to face her dragon. Vhagar, her dragon, the one being in the world bonded to her, looms over her in the courtyard, and Laena gives the command every dragon rider learns first. Dracarys! And Vhagar refuses. The biggest weapon in the world is given a direct order by her own bonded rider, and she hesitates. Laena has to command her again. Only after the command is repeated, and even then slowly, almost unwillingly, does Vhagar unleash dragonfire. Vhagar understood the order, and she understood what it meant, and Vhagar paused while she decided whether to obey the woman she loved. Remember that hesitation, because 4 episodes later, the same dragon makes another decision, and this time, it starts a war. The dragons that choose. Now we'll jump ahead to the moment the illusion begins to crack in public. Season 2. Rhaenyra needs riders, and Sir Steffon Darklyn volunteers, a knight of the Queensguard with old Valyrian blood in his veins. He has everything the theology says he needs. The blood, the sanction of a queen, the dragon keepers guiding him through the ritual. Seasmoke burns him alive mid-sentence. And then, this is the detail most people miss, Seasmoke flies away, finds a shipwright's son named Addam, hunts him through the woods, corners him, and chooses him. The man never sought the dragon recruited the man.
Seasmoke chose him. He surely has Targaryen blood in him somewhere.
Most people heard an explanation. What actually happened was the show rewriting the rules in front of you. Because if the dragon does the choosing, blood may still matter, but pedigree, permission, and ritual clearly do not. Then comes the red sowing, and the invitation is put to the test at scale. Rhaenyra throws open the Dragonmont to anyone with even a drop of Valyrian blood who dares to try and claim Vermithor. The histories record the toll: 16 dead, 48 burned or maimed, and the one he accepts? Hugh Hammer, a blacksmith who stops running, who stands his ground in the fire and offers himself. Vermithor doesn't test his ancestry. Vermithor tests the man himself. And Rhaenyra, the queen who ordered the sowing, watches the aftermath and says the truest thing anyone says in the entire season.
I used to think I knew what it was to claim a dragon. I understand now that what I thought I knew is ash in the wind.
Ash in the wind. The Targaryen theory of dragons, spoken by a Targaryen queen, reduced to exactly what Viserys called it under Balerion's skull: an illusion. Even Daemon knows it. Watch how the most feared dragon rider alive approaches Vermithor in the Season 1 finale. He doesn't march into the Dragonmont barking commands. He walks in slowly, torch in hand, singing, an old song in the old tongue, offered to a dragon the way you'd offer your open hand to something that could kill you. That isn't mastery, that's courtship. The dragons that refuse. And the books. The deep histories George R.R. Martin wrote are even more blunt about it. Silverwing was the bonded dragon of Queen Alysanne, one of the most beloved riders in Targaryen history. 3 times the queen tried to fly her beyond the wall, and 3 times Silverwing refused, hissed, snapped, and veered south against the direct will of a queen on her back. The largest army in the world couldn't disobey Alysanne, but her dragon did. Sheepstealer was tamed in the books by a girl called Nettles, with no proven Valyrian blood at all, no ritual, no priesthood. She brought him a fresh sheep every single morning until he decided she was worth carrying. The bond that every failed claimant died reaching for, earned with patience and mutton. There's an even older warning in the family's own history. Balerion, the Black Dread himself, once carried a Targaryen child, Arya, who could not command him. So he went where he wanted, and he took her to the ruins of Valyria. What came back of that little girl is one of the most horrifying passages Martin has ever written. The weapon that obeyed. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, because there's one scene that seems to break this whole framework. At Rook's Rest in Season 2, Episode 4, Aemond hovers above the battle on Vhagar, watching his own brother lock claws with Meleys, and gives the command. And Vhagar obeys. Fire, head-on into Meleys, and into Aegon, and into Sunfire. His own king, his own blood. The realm's king, cooked inside his armor by his own brother, the finest dragon of the age crippled, Meleys dead, and the war escalated past any hope of peace. The command was obeyed despite the utter devastation it brought. That's the distinction the series keeps drawing. The power to destroy is not the power to control. You can aim a dragon, sometimes, if the dragon consents, if your rage happens to align with its. What you cannot do is dictate what happens next. The bill comes due. Which brings us to right now, because Season 3 is not a new story. It is showing us everything we've just walked through. Rhaena Targaryen finally gets her great wish, a dragon of her own. She claims Sheepstealer, and for one moment the theology looks true again. A dragonless Targaryen made whole at last. Then the Battle of the Gullet happens, and the illusion shatters. Sheepstealer ignores her completely and tears through the battle, burning everything. Enemy ships, friendly ships, everything. While Rhaena screams at him from his back. And in the chaos he creates, Vermax is brought down by a scorpion bolt. Jacaerys, the heir to the Iron Throne, cuts himself free of his harness, fights to the surface, and is shot dead in the water. Lucerys, killed when 2 dragons disobeyed their riders over Shipbreaker Bay. Jacaerys, killed in chaos unleashed by a dragon disobeying his rider over the Gullet. Neither death chosen by any human being. The show has now built its two greatest tragedies on the same truth.
The idea that we control the dragons is an illusion.
And what do the humans do with this lesson? They refuse to hear it. Rhaenyra, unable to accept that a dragon simply willed this, puts a bounty on the mystery rider who broke her fleet. She is hunting her own stepdaughter, because the alternative is admitting that the rider on Sheepstealer may have been no more than a passenger. Meanwhile, in a forest near Rook's Rest, Baela spots the remains of Sunfire, the most beautiful dragon in the world, burned and rotting among the trees, the golden weapon of the Greens seemingly discarded and dead. The evidence has never been clearer. Listen to Daemon, standing in the red keep he took.
I start as gods, Rhaenyra, as we were always meant to be.
Gods. He says it in the same castle where Viserys stood under Balerion's skull and called it an illusion. Two brothers. One saw the truth and whispered it to his heir. The other saw only the illusion and tried to claim the whole world in its name. And from the other side of the war, a man with no dragon at all has already written the epitaph.
The dragons dance, and men are like dust under their feet.
Dust under their feet. Shipbreaker Bay. So now go back to the storm, back to the Season 1 finale, and watch it with Viserys' words in mind. Luke is on Arrax, fleeing, while Aemond is on Vhagar, chasing. And then Arrax panics. A young dragon, terrified in a storm, disobeys his rider's screamed command and breathes fire into Vhagar's face. The first shot of the dance is fired by a dragon, against orders. And response does not come from Aemond. Aemond is begging. Aemond is a boy again, shrieking into the wind at the god beneath him.
No, Vhagar! No! Don't! Serve me, Vhagar! No!
Vhagar, the dragon who once hesitated to rain down dragonfire out of love, does not hesitate now. She banks, climbs, and takes Arrax and Lucerys apart above the clouds. There is no command, no rider's will, and here is the keystone, the show's own signed confession. In Fire and Blood, the book that House of the Dragon is adapted from, that death is a murder. Aemond hunts Lucerys down and kills him, deliberately. The showrunners had that scene sitting on the page, a villain, a victim, a clean, inciting incident, and they threw it away. In their version of events, no human being chose the first death of the dance. Showrunner Ryan Condal has said it himself. There is a sentience to these creatures. They're gods that we are in control of, to a degree. To a degree. That is the entire series in 4 words. What the dance actually is. So here is what House of the Dragon has actually been about all along. The dance was never a war fought with dragons. It is a war the dragons permitted, for as long as it amused them. Every plan in this series dies the moment a dragon disregards it, the moment it decides not to behave like an obedient weapon. Every tragedy, Laena, Lucerys, Rook's Rest, the Gullet, Jacaerys, Sunfire in the trees, begins with a human believing in the illusion of control. Viserys knew. He rode Balerion, felt what was actually underneath him, and never mounted a dragon again. You won't miss it now. Next time Vhagar fills the frame, you won't see the Green's greatest weapon. You'll see an ancient creature, part god, part monster, deciding, moment by moment, whether these small, loud creatures on her back are still worth carrying. So which dragon was never really under control? Vhagar, Sheepstealer, or Sunfire? Drop your answer below and make your case. And if this is how you like to revisit Westeros, be sure to subscribe, because the dragons aren't done, and neither are we.